Welcome to the Spiritualpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Christian, aka Love Pixel. And in each episode, we sit down with spiritual entrepreneurs sharing their knowledge, wisdom, and tools on their path to authentic success. Let's dive in. What is up, beautiful people? This is Christian from the Successful Spiritualpreneur Podcast. And today we have a very special guest for you. Her name is Joanie Shakti Dhillon, and she is a conscious performance coach who helped high-ticket sales professionals go from the verge of termination to the top 1%, bringing a very masculine approach to her work. And now Joanie helps female coaches, healers, and lightworkers grow their sales and get more clients through a divine feminine approach to business. Joanie is committed to transforming how female leaders show up, lead, and grow their missions so they can lead in a way that embodies the fullness of their truth. Welcome to the show, Joanie.
Oh, thank you, Christian. It's my pleasure to be here with you.
Yay, it's so exciting. Like really, I was in Guatemala 2 weeks ago, and I was talking with some friends, and I was like, yeah, so what do you actually do, right? And there were some people who didn't really know me yet quite well, and I said, well, in a very spiritual way, obviously my mission is to make love tangible, right? With everything that I do. But with Love Pixel Agency, I kind of it felt great to share in that moment that we bring the feminine back online, because technology is so masculine, like all these boxes and this and that. And I'm a web developer and web designer, so I know how restricting boxes can be when you actually want to create something organic and just that feels wavy and easy and flowy, that is so feminine. So yeah, just wanted to speak to that. And I think you're such a master at the balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And my question would be, how did you discover that? How was your path? Where do you come from? And how do you become such a master of these two worlds?
Oh, wow. Thank you. First of all, thank you. I'm honored for those words. And now I'll do my best to live up to them. So here's what happened. My story, my entire adult life, I was trying to prove something. I have a sister who's a doctor, a brother who's an AI guru, tech guru. And I always just thought that I put them on pedestals, right? I think maybe some of your audience can relate to putting someone on a pedestal. And I was the youngest of the family. I didn't go the traditional Indian girl route or Indian child route, which was become a doctor or engineer or something brilliant. And that's it. I was like, I'm going to do what I want to do. And when I told my parents, this is just crazy, that, oh, by the way, I'm going to go major in graphic arts and, which you can relate to perhaps, and Spanish. And they pretty much lost their, everything, lost their mind. And that was the beginning of my path of just being different and almost rebellious in a way. And there was this energy to me, Christian, that was like, I had to prove something. I had to be as good as my older siblings, because in my mind, right, our mind does amazing things. It creates stories and meanings out of things that just aren't true, but we think they're true. We tell ourselves that they're true, right? And so when I ended up going to graduate school during a down economy after I had a business that was totally failing, and when 2008 hit, I then came out of grad school, and a couple years later, I was like, I got to go find work. Like, we were in a down economy. What are we going to do? What am I going to do? How am I going to pay the mortgage? And I was pretty scared, but I found myself in a career night of the most masculine industry that anyone can think of. And for those of you who have been to a timeshare sales presentation, you know that either you would still have nightmares about it, or it was just, hopefully it was a good experience, but chances are that it may not have been. And I had no idea what timeshare sales was. I was like, what is this thing called timeshare sales? But you're telling me I can talk about travel and make endless money doing that? And I was in a place that I barely was able to pay the mortgage at the time, Christian. And so I entered into this industry not knowing a thing. I was so blind to anything, which was actually to my benefit, because I just got to bring the entirety of me to the table. And I started doing really well. I can talk to people and I can, paint the picture of them being in places that what I love to do, which was travel. And so I grew to the top 1% of that industry. In fact, probably the 0.01% of that industry really fast within my first year. And everyone was really shocked. Like, what is this girl doing? How is she doing this? And I knew really quickly that this industry wasn't going to be for me for long. It was like, oh, I'm making really, really good money. I'm working 25 hours a week. I take 4 months off a year to travel. I love helping people to realize their dreams and their visions, but it's just like, I knew there was something bigger and something more for me. But at that moment in time, it was exactly what I needed. And when I finally left without a plan, without, it's like I've got to leave. Enough had become enough. What I left with was this. Being one of the best in this industry, I still had this crush the competition, dominate. It was a very masculine industry. And while I brought a different energetic, a lighter energetic, I served from the heart. As a coach, I brought consciousness to timeshare. I started coaching these sales professionals initially, as you mentioned in the intro, to be the top 1%, but to do it from a completely different place. But little did I know that I really had no idea what I was about to embark into, what God, what Spirit had in store for me. After running this business successfully for 5 years, I had a massive spiritual awakening. And prior to the spiritual awakening, so this was November of 2021, I lost all desire to do business. I was we were doing really well, low end 50,000 a month to $100,000 a month. And I just had no desire to be a coach in this industry any longer. And my now fiance then knew that there was something really bigger, much bigger in store for me. And he encouraged me, like, so let's serve a bigger audience. Let's serve a bigger audience. It's like, I don't know. That's not the thing. That's not the thing. I ended up finding myself, Christian, in really a dark night of the soul. Ended up taking what I thought was just going to be a couple weeks off at the end of the year to restore, rejuvenate, to refocus. And I went into a really dark place. Everything started unraveling for me. I had like I said, no desire to do business. I didn't know how I was going to bring money in. My fiance and I weren't in that place because he wasn't my fiance at the time, right? We weren't in that place to like, okay, I'm going to take care of you and everything. And he invited me to do business with him in his NLP training company. We were both trained in NLP. That's actually how we met. And so I started to do that, but things weren't jiving yet. I was bringing this real masculine approach. And that was in January, just a couple months after. I was bringing this masculine approach of I was used to being the light of everything, like all eyes on me. I had a big following or somewhat big following. And now I was like sitting next to him in the training room, being almost a student, right, of his and learning the business and how to serve in a greater way. So our energetics in our personal life, we went from being best friends to entering into a relationship just before COVID started, March of 2020. And also then doing business together, they just weren't working. I was bringing this, it's my way, this is the way, this real masculine energetic. And when I say masculine, I don't mean coming from a male. All of us have female and masculine energies inside, whatever gender you are, whichever gender you are. We have both. We have it all. We have the full range of it. And I had no idea at this time. I just was being me, right? I was like, this is just me. Well, a couple months later, I found myself at a beautiful retreat. We had no idea what was going to happen. We just showed up at this retreat in Austin, Texas. And that day forever changed my life. There was definitely some medicine involved in that experience, a heart-opening medicine and empathogen that got my mind out of the way. I think for us female entrepreneurs, oftentimes what you notice is there's just there's a lot of mind at work, not a lot of heart but there's a lot of mind. The mind that wants to know how to do the things, how to connect the dots, how to go from here to there, how to push through, how to, all of these things. And what I wasn't doing was I had zero connection to my heart. And I had blocked it my entire life. I lost my mom at 19 years of age, and I just turned 20 rather. And that began, my disconnection to my heart actually began much, much, much younger. I won't go into that now unless, of course, you want me to. But I think what really matters is that I had no idea. Like, I would tell partners, I love you. And I was like, thought I knew what love was. I had no freaking idea what love was. I had no idea what it meant to be in my heart, to serve from my heart, it's making me emotional right now, to open and to stay open and not want to shut down out of protection, out of fear, out of being seen, the vulnerability of being seen. Because I had always tried to hide my whole life, and I tried to prove that I was something that really I wasn't. And and so when I had this spiritual awakening that was an all day, it was literally 6 hours of me reeling and just, figuring out what was happening to me, because my mind for the first time couldn't comprehend what was going on. And I had 6 individuals on a bed helping me to navigate this experience that was completely foreign to me. And what was happening was spirit was moving through me in a way that I had never experienced spirit moving through me. And there were words coming out of my mouth that weren't mine. That's the only way I can say it. And this divine, beautiful energy. And I battled it for 6 hours, bursted a blood vessel. And it was just like this path to surrender. And I finally, that was just the beginning, to be honest. That was just the beginning of another massive unfolding. So many parts of me that had to die. I went into a cocoon for, 3 years where I couldn't do business. All that success that came easy, I could sell anything, a high ticket online. It just wasn't there. I had zero desire to do business at all. It was like I was just this butterfly floating around. And my spiritual teacher, Mary, she said, Joanie, you're on the operating table. And you got to be okay with being on the operating table right now, because your time will come when you're meant to be off the operating table. But right now, spirit's doing its work on you. And what was happening, Christian, was that my gifts were coming in and they were opening, and I had to shed all of these layers of me that I thought were me, that were not fucking me, excuse me, can I swear here, that were not me. And that was painful. It was a real painful process. And we were going through a place in our life that was like, we needed to bring in money. My fiance got diagnosed with stage 3C cancer as soon as we had started business together. And just prior to that spiritual awakening, that cancer progressed and went to stage 4 cancer. And here I am, and I'm not even able to bring money to the house. And it was like, wait, I know how to do this, but I don't know how to do this right now. And so that was a real process. We ended up manifesting our dream home and ranch. God's will, we were guided here to Mandorla Ranch in Montana. We moved from Austin, Texas here. And that's where I finally started to see the light at the other end of the tunnel. It was like, oh, this new me evolved and came forward and in a way that was completely unrecognizable. I had been softening into love. I had been fighting that side of me in my partnership, in my business, and the business that we ran together, and it's been a journey. It's been a journey. It certainly has.
Wow. Beautiful. And it feels like right now, to me, from what you're speaking and who you have become, that right now you're ready to open your wings again.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah, it's a
feels like
beautiful.
you've kind of like integrated both sides to a level where you're just like, yes, I get it. And I feel now is the time to start opening my wings again and fly.
That's absolutely right. Yeah, it was about 6 months ago that I started to like come out of my cocoon and started embodying both energies, right? The masculine and the feminine, because I was really in my feminine for 3 years. From being, sometimes polar opposites have to happen, right? The pendulum swings. I was in my masculine for so long. I didn't even know what it meant to embody the divine feminine that existed in me, as it exists in you, as it exists in every man, woman, any gender. And then I swung, and I swung deep into the depths of despair at many times, and back up into being in embodying my divine feminine with no masculine, no desire to do. The masculine energy is the doing energy. I'm going to do this, I'm going to act on this. It's the fix it energy, it's the solution energy. And that's who I was in relationship before. I was like, let me give you a solution, let's get to the answer, right? Let's. And now what happened is this pendulum has swung back, and it swung in the middle. And so now, what I am honestly in the process of mastering is being, knowing when to be in both, one versus the other. And there are times as an entrepreneur that we have to be in a masculine energy. We need to bring our masculine into the way that we're doing something, right? And there's other times that we can lead from our feminine. But I think the overall container that I bring now is an embodiment of the feminine, and knowing when that masculine, I like to think of it as circle and line energy. The circle is the feminine energy. It's the energy that holds, that loving energy that supports, that nurtures, that holds, that allows. And the line energy is that line that it's that energy that penetrates through. And sometimes we need penetration energy, and sometimes we need the energy that holds.
Beautiful. I love that so much. Because I feel in my life, I also embody those two sides so well, and my life is so happy.
Or
you
with
know,
a happy life.
yeah, I feel like I have such a great balance of like doing, being, and it wasn't like that for me either all the time. So you have to kind of like find your equilibrium, and not that the middle is the perfect, but find your
Sure.
middle, right? You can
And
be
sometimes it's not in
80%.
the middle. It's not like we need to swing to one side versus the other, right? And
Exactly.
that's the work that I teach women to do now, is how to identify where you're operating from, where are your energetics coming from, and is it, for lack of a better word, appropriate for the context in the moment, right? Is there a part of me, sometimes that old part wants to come up, those parts that were like fighting for their life, that wanted to prove. It's like, as we ascend up the spiral of evolution, right, as you're on a spiritual journey, what happens is, I think some of many of your listeners hopefully can relate to this, is that you think that you dealt with something. I know that I have. It's like, oh, that thing's completely gone. That part of me is integrated or dissolved or healed or whatever the words are, right? And you're like, what the hell is it doing back in my life right now? And it's showing you, but what the thing is, it's not that you didn't do the work. You did the work, and you did exactly what you needed to do more times than not at that time. But as we move up the spiral, there's another layer of the work that's being called for. There's another layer of the work that is here for who you are at this moment in time, that is ready to be seen, that is ready to be moved through, that is ready to be healed.
Beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And so, can you maybe share a concrete example of your either professional life, or, I mean, since your professional life overlaps so much also with your personal life, where you've found that balance, or you've found a way out of being stuck in that one mode, so to say, and found your way back into like alignment in your center?
Yeah, it's beautiful. Actually, yeah, thank you for asking the question. One of the things that as a spiritual channel now, this is a whole new way of operating for me, where I'm bringing in energies that were there, but I couldn't see them or hear them or feel them before. And now when I sit to work, masculine, right? When I sit to work, and if I feel, for example, there's an energy of resistance, like maybe I don't want to do something that I need to do. And in the past, what I would do is I would just bulldoze through. I'm a high perform. I don't really resonate with those words, high performance coach anymore, right? Conscious performance coach for me really resonates. But as a former recovering high performance coach, it was, get into state. Let's master your state. Let's get out of the funk and into flow, right? And it was doing all the things. I'm a trainer of neurolinguistic programming as well to get the mind and the body aligned. But what was happening, I was spiritually bypassing. That thing that really wanted to be seen, noticed, heard, felt in that moment. What's shifted for me now, Christian, is now when I'm in work and something comes up for me, I pause. And I teach my students to do this as well. And I pause and I do a scan from the top of my head all the way down my body. And I see what I see, I hear what I hear, and I feel what I feel. What's present for me? And sometimes you just feel like something's not right. Like, your mood's off, or there's like, I'm forcing myself into this thing. Well, there's a place that you forcing that thing, that part of you, it's not you, the entirety of you, but there's a part of you that maybe feels like it's forcing, right? And so if we can identify and drop into our body and see and hear or feel, or however it wants to express to you, maybe there's a color to it, maybe there's a shape to it, maybe there's a young Christian that's there, or a young Joanie, a 7-year-old who's scared in that moment. And like, connecting to that, maybe you feel something in your throat right here, or in the pit of your stomach. When you do a scan of your body and you just pause and you scan the body and you see what you see or feel what you feel, and just drop into it. So now I just drop into that spot, in that place in my body, and I give it a voice. I allow it to speak to me if it wants to speak. I allow it to share with me the wisdom that's there that maybe I don't see, or the fear that may be there. And as I do that, there's been a new healing modality that I've birthed through me over the past few months. It's just been beautiful. It's a somatic process, and this is part of the somatic process. It's allowing that part to, maybe there's a somatic, the body wants to move, right? Maybe the body wants to move in order for that sensation to be released, or that to be freed. And really listening intuitively to what is being called for, what is being asked for in this moment. Is it an energy of masculine, a masculine energy that needs me to do something? Do I need to, part of this modality that I've birthed is about tapping, and it's called intuitive tapping. Do I need to tap on this place? Do I need to say something, do a linguistic reframe on it? Or do I just need to hold it, right? Which is the feminine, which is the not doing of anything at all, but hold it in love and be with it. And that being with it may be just the thing that's needed in order for that sensation to pass, in order for that young part, perhaps if it's there, to be seen, heard, felt, and loved. And then allowing yourself to move, or myself in this case, to move forward. And sometimes it's just not a moving forward. Sometimes it's like, all right, I just get to go outside and be with the horses and take a pause. And that was never how I was before. It was really pushing to get it done, and to get it out, and to make the money, and to do the things. And now it's like, listen to your body, Joanie. Listen to your body. Listen to your heart. Listen to what is calling you forth to be your greatest expression of you.
Beautiful. Yeah, I think it's really time for us as individual and as collective to tune into ourselves, to what we need at any given time, to then come back to that center. And even that little exercise, I mean, the first thing that came to me were like the archangels for some reason, because I'm also like very connected to like the light. I'm a very light being, I drink tea all the time. It's a very clear vessel and very easily connected. So that was one thing that came through immediately, because I've been in touch lately with them more.
Yeah.
And I'm actually also going to my first ayahuasca retreat in June. And part of that intention there is to commune with the angels, because I feel very connected to them. And so that was one thing
I love
that came through. Yeah, I'm very excited about that. I feel also maybe in a couple of years, like I might start channeling, you
that.
know? So I'm very excited about that whole field. I think channeling is such a fascinating field.
If I
And
could just share something with what you said right now, in a couple years, I might just start channeling. Can I add something to that or share something that feels like it wants to come through?
yes, of course.
Yeah. What, yes, you will. And yes, you are. And you're already a channel in your divine way, in the gifts that you bring to the world, in the way that you have pulled our website from thought into form. And I'm feeling that really deeply. And should you or should anyone want to bring their gifts, it's not like I'm chosen, I'm the chosen one. No, we all have this opportunity, and we all are intuitive. We all have an innate intuition, and our higher self, or you can call it our divine guidance that is guiding us, our spirit councils, I call them my guides, that are there with me, with you. But what happens is, when we're so entrenched in the workings of the mind, we don't allow ourselves to feel, and we don't allow ourselves to experience that which wants to come through, to truly guide us, to be our beacon of light on our path, whatever it is that we do in our life. And because they truly are here to support us. When I say they, I mean your spirit guidance, your guides, your counsel, your archangels, right? They want to guide us, but we've got to listen. And so for me, during that 3 year period of time, what was so fundamental in allowing those gifts to really develop and come out was me going into a meditative place and being an open channel, allowing my mind to get out of the way. And some people are like, oh my God, meditation, this thing, everybody's been talking about it for years and years, and I just can't do it. I can't meditate. I can't meditate. If that's you, I totally get it. I hear you and see you and feel you. That was me too. And sometimes you just need to start with 3 minutes on a timer in silence or stillness, and that's it. And that's okay, without judgment of your thoughts, without judgment of anything. It's not it's not about having to still your mind. It's about being with yourself. My fiance Scott, he's an incredible human being, and one of the things he reminds me of often is his spiritual teacher. He was just out of a 20-year addiction, and he was 3 years out of it. And his spiritual teacher Mark said to him, he said, Scott, you know, I want you to consider that the language of God is silence. And if you want to connect with God, then you need to get into silence and start with 3 minutes a day. And he did. And he just took direction because he was so desperate to live and to stay sober. And he did it every day. And that 3 minutes turned into 10 minutes, which turned into 20 minutes, which then for him, which was his path for a few year period of time, turned into 3 to 4 hours. I haven't gotten there yet. But what needs to happen if one does want to really tap into the higher intelligence, the greater intelligence that wants to flow through you and is flowing for you, but oftentimes is blocked, is to begin to peel back the layers of the heart. And one of the best ways to do that is, I mean, there's fast ways and there's slow ways, and one of the faster ways is through actually one of the things that you're doing, Christian, which is going on an ayahuasca journey. And for me, it was MDMA was my medicine of choice, and now for me, it was a thing that cracked me open. It's not the thing for everybody. Meditation can be the thing, and truly catching ourselves when we are in a place of, oh, just got guarded. Oh, don't want to talk to you. For me, I have an avoidance pattern um, that I have had my whole life. I just run. It's like becoming aware of that in the moment, whether you're running from, your partner because he wants to have an intimate or she wants to have an intimate conversation with you that's connecting, and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk about that, or running from work that you don't want to do, or the tax man, as I did for 5 years. It's still an avoidance pattern. So how do we open up to that, open up to love, and begin to say, okay, just pause. What's here for me? What wants to be heard, seen, felt, or known? And those are just some small ways that we can open and allow that divine knowledge to begin to flow through.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that you said that. You will be and you are a channel, and I think that applies to pretty much everyone. Like
Right.
I also believe that everybody. I mean, everybody's already channeling love in a way, right? It's just like the frequency is different, right? Everybody, like even your grandma is channeling love, like by making you food or something, just made with love, right? That is in a way a form of channeling, right? And then there's different frequencies of channeling which one can get into. And so I think it's really beautiful how you've embodied that in your life too, and how you found that balance. It's very special. And you are currently in Montana at a place called Mandorla. So share a little bit more about what the vision for Mandorla is, like the physical place itself, and also the philosophy behind it, because it's called Mandorla Integral Wisdom, and I
That's the name of our
feel.
that's the name of our business. Yes, our ranch is Mandorla Ranch. Yeah.
Mhm. So explain a little bit more about, does like what is there meaning to Mandorla? What's
Mm.
behind it? What do you guys envision to creating and facilitating there? Would love to know.
Yeah, thank you. There certainly is. There is a wisdom to the word Mandorla. The former owner, Ray, was not a spiritual person, but he woke up one morning and the word and the knowing that this place, this beautiful sacred land, is to be called Mandorla. And he didn't know what it meant. And he looked it up. And there are many, many meanings of the word Mandorla. And the one that resonates the most, and the one that's the most, I think, sacred is, if you've seen we've all seen those pictures of like Jesus and Mother Mary, and there's that halo of that almond shaped halo around them, right, with light. Well, that's a mandorla. That's the shape, and it's actually a sacred geometry symbol. Imagine two circles overlapping, that space in between. That's the mandorla, and it's the place between being and doing. Being and doing, right? That sacred, calm space in between that holds the tension of both in space. And it's absolutely, so we like to think of it's, the space between heaven and earth, even, right? It's the mandorla. It's just this beautiful sanctuary of healing. Our vision, we were led here. There's absolutely no question in our minds from the moment that the light flashed within me when I had my first conversation with the former owner, who said, I've been doing this work on this place for all these years since Ray died. And I just kept asking myself, who am I doing it for? It can't be for me. And that moment, that whole flash, I've never experienced that in my life. It was this remembrance, this knowing from another time, space, place, that it was for us. And it's not for us. When I say for us, it's not for Scott and I. It is for, I truly believe this, and it is for humanity. The work that we're bringing here with Mandorla Integral Wisdom is work of the evolution of self, helping humans on this planet evolve from the small self thinking, from the small self of, I think oftentimes we think of ourselves first and then our immediate family, right? And then we have our bigger concentric circles that go out, rippling out to maybe the community. But how often are individuals, and sure there are some, and there are many out there, But I think we as a species can get really lost into the egocentric way of being and navigating through life. And one of the things that Scott and I have been awakened to and continue to bring to this now, really it's our mission to bring this to the planet, is an integral form of development. Being a trainer of neuro-linguistic programming, for those of you who don't know what it is, it's the study of the mind, neuro-linguistic, how we use language internally to ourselves and with others, and the programming, our strategies of how we get what we get and how we do what we do in our life, and how those two things impact the results that we have in our life. NLP is very mental and emotional, right? I was telling you how I would get into state. I would just control things. I would like shift the body, get into state, go from being, in a funk to in an empowered state of being. It's very mental and emotional, but it didn't touch on the spiritual body at all, right? It didn't touch on the physical body at all. So with Mandorla Integral Wisdom, we knew, and Scott has known for many, many years, that his journey would expand well beyond neurolinguistic programming. He's a master trainer, one of 20 in all of North America. And he knew that his work would move beyond these two bodies into the entire whole body system of evolving the self. And it really has been since we got here to Mandorla that the vision has been evolved and evolving and continues to evolve, where now we're on a mission to bring this. I believe, Christian, that we're in a time between worlds, and we're in a time between stories right now. This world is really suffering in many ways, and people are suffering in many ways, and the onset of AI in a way that we have never experienced technology, where the technology is growing faster than the man. It is thinking faster than man can think, and therefore it has already outgrown us and will continue to. And with the dynamics of what are happening and the warring nations and all of what's going on in the world, polarizations from the movements to somewhat can be very polarizing movements. I believe, and we believe together, and with this movement that we're bringing forth, that love is the only answer. That the reason why we're continuing to war as a species is because the missing thing is a common language of love. If we were all working towards that common language, that value of love, then what could we come to the table and resolve things that are not resolvable right now, because people are bringing their own egocentric values to the table, or ethnocentric values, right? There's ripples that we move out of. And so how can we bring a common language of love to the table, to conversations, to warring nations? Like, okay, if this is the one thing that, and I don't mean like kind of pie in the sky love, like, oh, I love you. It's like, no, a true value. This is what moves us as a species. I believe that in this existential crisis that we're in, and we are in one right now, that the species and the proliferation of the species is on the line. Like, are we going to be able to continue being a species on this planet, or are we going to completely obliterate ourselves based on how we are currently navigating, thinking, moving, and being? And what has to change, in my opinion, in our opinion, in the opinion of Mandorla Integral Wisdom and the work that we're bringing forth and birthing, is that we've got it, that it needs to change. It must change. And with the cycle of pain that we're in, the only solution is love. The only solution is a common language of love. So that's what we're birthing into the world. And it feels like it's a really big mission, Christian. And it's way beyond us. Yes, we'll be doing retreats here at Mandorla Ranch. Yes, we'll be, bringing workshops online. But really, it comes down to educating people on what does it mean to evolve integrally with with not just focusing. I think so often people focus on just the spiritual side of things, or just focused on spiritual, but they're completely ignoring the mental and the emotional aspects, right? And so there's other aspects of growing, of developing, that we must develop, which is integral development, just whole body, whole self development, top to bottom. There's lines, there's stages, there's different ways to evolve. And so that's the work that we want to help the humans on this planet and all of us to continue to evolve up the spiral into this beautiful place of love is in this way.
Beautiful. I really honor you for your mission and for the place Mandorla, because I think it's gonna be an incredible place of transformation. Um,
Thank you. You've been here.
Healing, I've been there. It's an incredible sacred land. Um, there's so much healing and potential that still is like just not even it's not even there yet. It's all here, right?
It's
But
all here for us. Yes.
so many things are happening at this moment with Mandorla and on the world, in the world, and coming back a little bit to the actual meaning of Mandorla and the symbolism, right? It's a very sacred symbol, right? The Mandorla, um, it's like there's two circles that are intersecting, and the middle piece that's intersecting is also what's called the Mandorla, and so it's a sacred place where two worlds come together.
That's right.
And in the Mandorla logo, in your guys' logo, you have these two circles that intersect. In the middle is a dot, and
Mm.
then there's a line that goes down. So the
Circle and
meaning,
line. Mm-hmm.
when I designed that logo, I was like, the meaning of this, and we've developed the logo together. So I often, just get intuitive hints about, what symbology to use or how this could be translated. So for me, the meaning was that these two circles obviously are, heaven and earth that are intersecting.
That's
In the
right.
middle of the dot is the individual or the place or the whatever like entity is the entity, and then the line is the one that grounds it and connects it down into the
Yeah.
physical reality, into the 3D
Right.
world.
The masculine energy, that the line that penetrates, the circle that holds, right, that embodies it all. We
Exactly.
love it. It's so beautiful.
So
Perfectly encapsulates
yeah,
Mandorla.
it's a very special place. So for anybody who's listening, keep your eyes out for Mandorla, because I really feel they're on to something that is really beyond themselves, and these are the movements that are the biggest.
Mm.
Uh, they start very small, um, and they're usually just infinitely sustainable because it's not built on external validation or recognition, or um, it truly comes from the inside, this creation, and these are the things that last
Mm.
for centuries.
Mm.
So just wanted to commend you guys on that, and I think, yeah, many wonderful things are going to happen there, and you will encounter many magical beings online and offline, in person, with this initiative. um,
Thank
it's a very special, yeah, it's a very special initiative that you guys are having going on.
Thank you. We know it. We feel it. You're right. It's bigger than us. Way bigger than us. Yeah.
Yeah. So check out their website if you have a moment. It's called mandorlaintegralwisdom.com. And yeah, just really excited to see everything that you guys are doing and bringing to the world, and other people recognize that in themselves and be like, yeah, I want to be like that, and then they start to go into doing that process. Like that's usually how transformation works. Like, you see something inspires you, it's like, I want to do that,
Yeah.
right? And then you start doing it, you start slowly moving in that direction.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you, Christian.
Yeah. It's a true honor, and also, names are very special. Even like, the Mandalorian, right? Star Wars, like in Star Wars in general, there's many. I love Star Wars, so there's also many allusions and many plays with words in Star Wars. Like you have Ashoka, which is a new Star Wars series, and it's from the Hindu, right? Ashok means without, sorry, not feeling,
Right.
nor or causing sorrow. Like it's basically. being happy, right? And then you also have Shakti, which is a character. And yeah, it's just interesting how Star Wars has these some words
My
like
spiritual
borrowed.
name.
Yeah, and
Shakti.
you have your name. You have Shakti in your name too. So tell us a little bit about Shakti. Enlighten us about Shakti.
Oh boy. Ah, goodness. Shakti is the energy, the essence, the energy of life. Shakti is life giving, and the goddess. I refer to her as the goddess of life, and um, yeah, she embodies all. She runs. She moves through you like she moves through me, and really tapping into that energy, that Shakti, that life force energy that creates all, that births all, that is and gives life is Shakti. And I was honored and blessed to have been given the name Shakti by my spiritual teacher, and who happens to be my fiance. And so that was a beautiful honoring of a name for me. And I've just started embodying it, Christian, actually. So to hear you even call me that is publicly is an honor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You have a lot of Shakti energy.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Thank you.
divine feminine is deeply, deeply anchored in you. And names are very powerful. Even my name, Christian. You know, the
Yes.
one who embodies Christ.
Body.
For a long time when I was younger, when I was like 15, 16, I was like, oh, Christian sounds like old, lame.
It's so
Um,
good.
but when I was like 20, 21, and I traveled to Bali, I was like, no, names are powerful. You
Yeah,
know,
they
That's-
truly are. I remember one time at my former, when I used to be a timeshare sales rep on the line, and this woman walked in, and she's this beautifully intuitive woman. I felt her immediately, and she looked at me and she said, "Your name is not your name. What is your name?" And I said, "Joanie," and she said, "Joanie is not your name." And I told her my middle name, which is just me, and she said, "That's your name. That's the energy of you," which I still haven't gone by, but there's a transition and a process happening, and I think it'll just become Shakti one day. So, anyways, you're so right. There is an energy of our names and how we are actually, how the Akashic records even knows us and recognizes us is through our name, the energetic signature, the energetic vibration of our names, which is so powerful. And when we have a name change, it shifts everything energetically in the cosmos down to the physical body. It's incredible.
yeah. Names are very powerful. The spoken word and names are so powerful. Like that's why in ancient cultures like Mayan culture or Viking culture, you always see like honor your name, honor your family, live up to your name.
Yes.
Like my last name is Maurer, which
Yeah.
is means in German, um, the guy who builds the walls,
Ooh.
right? So
Okay.
I have all this builder energy in
You
me.
do. Yeah.
I'm a builder. Like whatever I do, I want to do something solid,
You
right?
are.
I'm a very spiritual person, right? But at the same time, I I
Wow.
love to manifest. I love to build. I love to bring things in. So you know, I wouldn't totally honor my name if I would do right. If I wouldn't build something, right? You know what I mean? So
Yep.
I just decided to be a builder in the spiritual world. I
So
build websites and I build brands, and it's
you're a
cool.
builder. I love it. You've been honoring your name, your family name.
Yeah. And
Mm.
not that you have to honor your family name, but I feel like when you have a certain name and you kind of like know what it means, or if you don't know what it means, look into what it means, and you do more of that, like you automatically feel like kind of like a line of energy, of ancestral energy is coming in and supporting you
So true.
because you are like through generations connected to that. Like you don't just get that name. You understand? Like it comes at least in Europe. I mean, and Americans, where do they come? Europe, India, all the other countries. There are roots to your names, right? And there are ancestral lines that support you even in this lifetime,
Yeah.
right? So for me to get a name Maora, like there's also the Freemasons. Like a Mason would be the English translation of a Maora, right? You
Mhm.
have Freemasons, like these are builders. These are people that work, behind the scenes to like I don't know, like all the kind of stuff they do. But like, there's these are builders. Like
Build.
the
Yeah.
masons are basically the ones that are active
Build.
in the 3D world,
Yes.
right? And so if you know your name and know what it means, like, you just automatically feel that support of this, like, because to get that name again, like, your ancestors need to must have done something to earn that name.
Very.
So maybe I've built walls in the Middle Ages for cathedrals and stuff like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Absolutely.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's beautiful. I think I love that this conversation around the energy and the energetics of a name, and sometimes we outgrow our name, right? And I think that's okay. I have a dear friend who changed her name, and at that time I didn't understand it. Now I do. I get it. She wasn't the energy. She didn't believe that she was the energy of her name, so she sought an energetic vibration of a name that felt like her, and made it her name. And I think that's beautiful.
yeah. Yeah, I think so too, definitely. If you feel a call to, like,
If you feel
shift
called,
the
yeah,
energy, you know, look into that.
yeah.
Beautiful. Well, we're coming towards the end of our podcast episode, so I would love for you to, just briefly, share any bits of insight or wisdom or something you want to give and leave people with. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, from someone who's spent her much of her adult life in her mind. My If there was wisdom I could give you in this moment, is that the heart is safe, and the heart can guide, and the heart leads you to your divine purpose in this life, and to not be afraid, to embrace it, to allow yourself to just be there, to feel it, to hear it. What does it want? What is it asking you to do? Who is it calling you forth to be, to become? And to let your heart lead. To let your heart lead. Yeah.
Beautiful. May the heart lead us all.
That's right.
And yeah, thank you so much for your time, your energy, your wisdom.
Mm,
Uh, Joanie Shakti Dhillon. It's been
mm.
a true honor.
Thank you. Thank you. The honor is all mine.